I am moving into a new city in 5 days. And for the first time ever, I'm actually not nervous about it. How did I get here, you may ask? Well, it's because I actually have a plan this time. In this episode, I'm going to share why I am more prepared than ever to take on a new city. If you're not sure how to navigate a new city, you're going to want to hear this episode. Let's parlay. What is going on, family? Welcome to episode 37 of Let's Parlay. I appreciate you tuning in as always, and make sure to hit the subscribe button if you haven't already. If this is your first time watching, welcome to the family, and I appreciate you taking the time to listen. So before we dive into today's topic, I want to just check in with y'all and let you know how I'm doing. And long story short, I'm doing great. I'm feeling pretty good. I feel like I'm in a space right now where God is very much having his hand on my life, and I'm very much just allowing him to guide me in whatever direction that makes the most sense and whatever direction that he's called me to. So I just really encourage anybody who's listening, if you don't have a consistent prayer life, if you're not consistently reading the Bible, if you don't have like-minded individuals who are also followers of Christ, or at least, working towards getting a better understanding of that relationship with God, then I highly encourage that, because I really feel at peace and feel a lot of joy just in the space that I'm currently in right now. And I just pray that everybody can experience that at some point in their life, let alone, just ongoing. So yeah, that will be my personal update for today before we get into the topic. And as always, if you're looking to work with a coach one-on-one, I would be happy to work with you. Click the link in the description. I always said bio, but in the description, if you are interested in learning more about working with me and the Fit and Faith program, and getting into the best shape of your life, because I'm excited to help everybody get into the best shape of their life. So let's talk about today's topic, okay? Navigating a new city. I really, really do feel the most at peace with this move. I've never been so prepared. I've never been so intentional. And yeah, again, I'll just emphasize, I've never really been at peace. And I think it's because of the intentionality and the preparedness that's allowed me to have peace and allowed me to look forward to things that are going to come as a result of being in a new city. So I wanted to start off by identifying what made me get to this point in general, from my time here in Austin, and then what I plan to utilize in my move to Houston to just compound on what I've already learned. So first things first, I'm going to give you just the foundation, and then I'm going to share with you 5 things that you should be looking for in a new city that will help you feel a lot more at ease about navigating it. Just give you a plan of attack, a strategy. So let's start off with the foundation. You have to understand what works best for you, okay? If you don't understand what routine on a daily basis, weekly basis, monthly basis that makes the most sense for you, going to a new city, you're going to be open game, okay? What's gonna happen is you're going to be very tempted to try a bunch of different things, which you should. However, if you don't know what works best for you, if you don't have a routine or a schedule that makes sense for your personal situation, then you're gonna feel like very conflicted in those moments where you're getting invited to things, or when you're trying to find things to do. And also, you should be able to operate within that routine, because that works best for you. And more than likely, you're going to find people who also have a very similar routine and lifestyle. So knowing that about yourself at first is a critical step. For example, I'll just share what works best for me, right? Like, my daily routine is me in the morning, getting in touch with the Lord, having my personal time before I get anything going in my day, then going to the gym, getting some movement, hitting some strength training, and preferably a sauna afterwards as well too. But I'm willing to bend on that given the circumstances. But the sauna's nice. Anyway, after the gym, I come back home, I have my breakfast, I work. And work can consist of co-working, with friends, going to an office, working at home, recording podcast episodes, recording content, and then from there, dinner, prepping for the next day, rinse and repeat. That's what works best for me on a daily basis throughout my weeks. And then when it comes to a weekly basis, there's church, there's my Bible study that I'm going to, serving to some capacity on a monthly basis, having some sort of fun activity that I like to get into, preferably during the day, right? And not super late at night, just because I like to maintain my sleep schedule, and then calling friends and family. That's usually my weekly flow. That's what has provided me a lot of peace and fulfillment because I'm able to address multiple components of my life within that routine and within that flow. That's what works best for me, but for you, it might be different. If you work at an office, for a corporate job or whatever have you, you might have to have something slightly different where things are catered towards that schedule. So I'm not sitting here trying to tell you that what I just told you should be what you should be doing. But you should take some time to figure out, like, when do I typically feel my best? What am I doing to feel my best? And is that something that is sustainable? How can I make that sustainable? Like I said, the reason why you want to start off with this first is because then everything fits around what works best for you. And you don't go to a new city and then start losing yourself and doing things that are outside of what works best for you, and then becoming more frustrated and upset and just further away from where God wants you to be. And I've felt that at times when I've moved to new cities where I didn't really have that conversation with myself. And maybe I knew subconsciously, oh, I know this works best for me, but I didn't think about how I was going to proactively set that up in a new city. So this is where we shift into the 5 things that you should establish and that you should practically do in order to navigate a new city and start to feel more at home more quickly. I guarantee that if you focus on these 5 things and have a plan and a strategy going into a new city, you're going to feel a lot more at peace. You're going to feel a lot more excited about going there and also getting more acclimated within the first couple of months or so. The reason why I found it to be hard or longer, I should say, to feel acclimated is because I never had this plan. I never walked through any sort of strategy. I just kind of felt like I wanted to try new things. And look, being in my 20s, that's completely all right. Like, most of the time in your 20s, you're just trying to figure things out, and there can be a lack of awareness of what's best for self. Now that I have had my frontal lobe develop, over the past year of turning 30, I've just realized, it's better to plan things out. It's better to think about these things ahead of time. So let's start off with the number one thing that I'm going to recommend you start looking for and preparing for as you go to a new city. That number one thing is going to be finding a home church. Now, for me, I didn't necessarily know what purpose church was serving in my life a year ago, when I had moved to Austin. So it wasn't necessarily a huge priority. I knew I wanted to be around other believers and other people of faith, but I didn't necessarily know where church was going to fit into that. I didn't know what purpose it was serving. And for me, what I've realized is that, one, it's a place where I can worship. It's a place where I can be around other people who are also worshiping the mighty God that gave me the life that I have and continues to provide me with another breath. That to me is very important. That just elevates my outlook and my gratitude for what I currently have, even in the midst of tough situations. 2, what that also does is it provides an opportunity for me to meet friends, for me to meet other like-minded individuals that I can lock arms with, but also to meet mentors, folks who are a little bit ahead of me, maybe who have families, who are maybe closer to like my parents' age, who can serve as, folks that provide counsel in those situations and can also connect me to other things that I may be interested in within the new city that I'm navigating. So I find church to fulfill a lot of community needs that will just be rooted in the same principles and in the same values, which is very hard to find. Because a lot of times when people try to like join new communities, they learn very quickly that those people operate and have different values. And before it's too late, you realize like, oh wait, like I'm starting to shift into that environment and I don't want to do that. You know, you don't want to lose yourself. So finding a home church could be a great way to do this. For me, my requirements are having a church that has some sort of Bible study, a healthy balance of like population when it comes to age range. I don't want to be like the youngest person there, but I also don't want to be the oldest. I'd like to be in the midst of, you know, the middle of the demographic, especially being 30. And more than anything, I want to go and find a church that preaches the Bible, right? Yes, the sermon is important. It's not the most important thing, but everything within the next church that I will find as my home has to be rooted in the word. If it's a bunch of feel good stuff that makes you feel very empowered, but doesn't talk about what the word actually is requiring from us and what Jesus spoke to his disciples about and what he called us to do as followers of Christ, if that's not being discussed, then that I can't be at that church. And that's just for me, okay? So my approach is I'm just gonna create a humongous list of churches that I'm gonna visit. And more than anything, I'm just gonna start asking people when it comes to like the gyms that I go to, maybe co-working spaces, I'm just gonna start asking people where they go and try out different churches and go from there, because I find that word of mouth can be a really, really effective way for you to just, you know, find what you're looking for. And there's nothing like a personal testimony. So that's going to be number one priority when you're moving to a new city, finding yourself a home church or a home base for your community to build off of, right? And for me, church is just the easiest way to go, and it's the most fulfilling way to go. Number two, especially for your boy here as an online fitness coach, finding a home gym, okay? If you don't know where you're going to be working out, and if you don't have any sort of idea of where you're going to try looking for gyms, then it could feel like something that's going to take forever to find out. But with me, again, similar to churches, I'm just going to create a list of different gyms that are within a reasonable driving distance of where I'm going to be, and with the equipment and with the, you know, recovery amenities that I like to have, the sauna. And I'm going to make sure that those things are, you know, already there, so I'm not surprised when I get there. And then I'm just going to stop in and visit a bunch of different gyms and see what the vibes are, you know, see if I can find myself having a nice workout and see if the staff is friendly, et cetera, et cetera. Okay. So like all of this is going to be a part of my search when it comes to my gym. And the reason why I say the gym is so important is because not even just for me, but for anybody, you have to have a comfortable place and a place that you look forward to going to move your body and to stay active, because that's going to make it sustainable. If it's a place that you dread going to, that's super packed whenever you go and you can't get on a machine, you're going to resent going there, and it's going to feel like a task and a chore to do it. So you want to find that gym that you really are excited to go to on a daily basis. And that is going to be number two on my priority list, because we're called to honor our bodies, okay? My body is not my body. It's the body that I've been blessed with. And in order for me to steward that, I have to make sure that I'm going to a place that allows me to do it to the best of my ability, okay? So that's what I'm going to recommend as number two, is finding a home gym. Number three, which may surprise you, is finding how to serve. This, I think, I'll be very honest, I never really thought about this. It was a very, maybe self-centered, but just, yeah, it was just always about me and my bubble and what can serve me. And what I found is that if I have a consistent place or a consistent way to serve, I'm a lot more fulfilled, and I feel like I'm doing more of the Lord's work continuously. Because if I don't have that place to serve and I'm not doing that consistently, I can just start to lose perspective on things, right? There's people who are dealing with way worse situations than I'm dealing with, not only locally, but I mean, just across the world. So when you have a consistent way to serve in a new city and something that you feel excited and passionate to do, it gives you a lot more purpose in being there. Because without that, it can feel very easy to just skedaddle off and give up way too easily, because you don't have anything that feels like you're really tied to it. And serving, I found, is one of those ways that makes you feel a lot more invested in your community. So the things that I'll be doing, and the things that I'll be looking for when it comes to serving, especially in the Houston area, is one, some sort of mentorship program for young men. So there's a Big Brother, Big Sister program that I'm very, very interested in possibly joining for myself and working with young men there. And then there's also, bring it back to the first one, church, right? So if there is some sort of ministry or some sort of church group that serves on a consistent basis, then that could also be a part of my mix of serving. But I know I very specifically want to work with young men, and I want to speak life into them. And I think that there's a lot of opportunity for me to learn about what kids are thinking about and struggling with these days. But it's also going to sow a good seed into whomever that young man is, so that he can have a role model and somebody who, maybe who looks up to and thinks is cool, and wants to kind of look after. And I found that when I've had these sort of interactions with, like, my younger male cousins and stuff, like they very much gravitate towards me, and I really don't know why. I don't know why. Maybe it's because I talk to them like they're an adult. Like, I don't really like talk to them like a kid. Like, I'm just like, man, what are you doing? All right. How many push-ups can you do? Yeah, like I just, I don't know. Maybe it's that or something, but either way, I just feel very much inclined to work with young men, and I'm excited to do that in Houston, to a whole nother level, of course. So those are the top three. All right, we got two more on this list of 5 ways that you can navigate a new city and do it very quickly. The fourth is what most people probably put as number 1, but I'm putting it as number 4. And honestly, this should be 5, but I put it as number 4, is finding how to have fun. So when I say have fun, obviously I'm not going to encourage you to pursue any sort of degenerate behavior, all right? Especially as a man of God, I'm done with that life. When I say have fun, it could be restaurants to visit, it could be fitness events or wellness events. This is the stuff that I'm going to be looking for. It could be places where you can go listen to live music, or it could be, fun things that you could do with your friends, like Top Golf or Dave and Buster's. I don't know, whatever you like getting into. You want to have some sort of idea of what goes on in that new city and what there is to do. And as far as like understanding that, social media is going to be your friend, particularly TikTok. I found a lot of different things via TikTok, especially when it comes to food. And Houston, I'm very much looking forward to trying the food. Only once a week though, because I just don't want to get into that big bag lifestyle. But either way, you want to have some sort of list or idea of what you're going to get into for fun, and know that that's what you want to get into. Because again, you don't want to go into a new city and not have like a clear idea. I mean, it's great to find yourself in new places and see what experimenting has to offer, but I always recommend having a better idea of what you want to do first and what you want to try, so that way it'll just start to come to you. There'll be opportunities that present themselves. So that will be the 4th recommendation. And the 5th, which kind of ties everything together, is finding community. Now, the first recommendation around finding your church, your home church, that'll be a huge part of this. But your church is not going to be the only place where you have community. At least that's what I would recommend, because, Jesus called us to disciple and to share the good news with more people. And I think there's a tendency for people who maybe like are very tied to their church community to be within that bubble and not have any sort of interaction outside of that. Like obviously if you work and you know you have coworkers and stuff, those are opportunities. However, I still feel there is a strong value for me personally to have a community that's not just based out of my church, but could also be based, you know, out of like my passion for fitness or, you know, things that I want to do within the community as well that have more to do with like public policy and development projects. There's all those sort of things that, yes, the church could be helpful for, but you want to be able to have other folks outside of the church who can also connect the dots for you as well too. So to me, my strategy when it comes to this and what I highly recommend that you do is just be friendly to everyone. I don't care if you move into LA or New York or whomever, just or wherever. Just please start conversations with people and initiate, because what you're going to realize is that most people are going to be pleasantly surprised that you said something to them and are going to open up a lot more than you would expect. And you might find that if you initiate more conversations, that larger volume of conversations will eventually lead you to the opportunities that you are seeking in that new city. So if you're very confused about why nothing is happening, why you're not finding the right people, you might just need to speak up more. You might just need to say hi to people more and just like be curious and sow good seeds. Because then eventually if you see people on a reoccurring basis and they know what you're interested in, they're gonna be like, oh, there's that guy Monty who's always at the gym saying hi to me. Like I know he's into this, and he talked about like wanting to find like a gun range that he can go to or wanting to volunteer at like, you know, a farm or something. I don't know. And I actually know somebody. And then they start thinking about you. And that's the beauty of initiating conversations wherever you go, whether it be at the office, the gym, church, wherever, is people are then going to start to realize like, hey, this is a person that I actually find pleasant and I would like to help them out in some way, you know, and not even in a way that they think they're going to get something back, but because of the goodness of your heart in initiating the conversation, they want to do something out of the goodness of their heart because of that same exchange. So that's going to be my fifth and last recommendation, is finding community and finding how to build community. And the biggest thing within this last one is just initiate conversations, just speak to people. I don't care if you're an introvert, extrovert, ultravert, there's something in between, but you want to initiate conversations as much as you possibly can. And that's going to be my last recommendation. Okay, so just to review the 5 that I talked about: 1, finding your home church; 2, finding your home gym; 3, finding how to serve; 4, finding how to have fun; and then the last one is finding how to build your community. Okay, so those are really the 5 things that if you cover all 5 of those bases, you're going to feel pretty acclimated to a new city. And if you have a strategy to like attack each one of those areas of your life, you're going to get very acclimated very quickly. But the number one overall thing that's going to help you is just initiate conversations as much as you can. And don't be a weirdo, okay? Like just genuinely compliment someone and ask, you know, oh, I see you here all the time. And yeah, I come here at the same time. Like, yeah, we getting it, whatever, cool. You know, just have conversation, all right? Be cool. And I know that may be hard for some of y'all, but I promise you, with more practice, you will learn how to be normal, okay? Especially if you find yourself to be a strange person. But nonetheless, that is all I got for you today, y'all. So like I said, I feel very excited for this move to Houston, and less excited as I am just at peace and full of joy because I have prepared for such a move. And this is the first time that I've really done this, surprisingly, from my move from Delaware to Philly. Didn't necessarily do that. From Philly to LA, definitely didn't do it. From LA to Austin, somewhat planned and prepared, but not really. This is the first time that I've actually prepared, and I'm excited for the fruit that's going to come as a result of that preparedness and stewardship. Okay, so I hope that this has served you, and I hope that you have enjoyed every minute of this video. Make sure to subscribe if you haven't already, and stay tuned for the next episode next week. Okay, take care, have a blessed one, and appreciate you as always.